That's why I think it's great that you all have shared your perspectives and even Mace, what you shared. Like, man, it's kind of by default here because a lot of the conversations I've noticed have been like, man, money or status. I don't really need. I'll be invisible. That's a pit
Yeah.
bull, because it's like I don't rock like that. But damn, I got these bills. So man, that's true.
Facts.
Welcome to the Fully Booked Podcast. Here with myself, Mace.
Myself, French.
And myself, Andrew.
And today we're revisiting Fully Booked Meets. Now, before I introduce our guests, I just want to give a little bit of information and background about him. He's an MBA brand strategist, PR consultant, owner of Perfect Solutions, and author of several books, including one we read and reviewed on this platform, the Fully Booked platform, which was called Dope Black Boy to Rich Black Man. To give you a little bit of synopsis of that book, Pocker scored it an 8 out of 10 due to its purpose, information provided, delivery, and impact. I called it a really enjoyable read and scored it a 9 out of 10. And French said the tone was set from the jump by the author's thought-provoking rhetorical questions, which automatically got you thinking about the state of society and how young black males are displayed in it. And overall, French also gave it a 9 out of 10. Today, we'll be talking to Marcellus Womack about his journey and homing in on one of the latest releases, The Savage Matrix, as well as discussing the pod team's own results following the Savage Matrix test we all undertook. Welcome to Fully Booked Meets, Marcellus Womack.
What's going on, fellas?
Good to have you.
Y'all
Good to have you, man.
Just want to let y'all know in the States, y'all are all-stars. Y'all do your thing. We had the NBA All-Star weekend, but I let my people know I'm about to connect with my all-stars out of London. So appreciate y'all to the fullest. What y'all do drives the culture for sure. And it's phenomenal to connect with y'all brothers.
Likewise, bro. Likewise.
Nice. I was just thinking actually, whilst Mace was doing the introduction, I think you might be the first author that we've had based on the books that we've actually read. So I'm quite excited actually to get into this.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all.
Cool, let's get started. Where do you want to...
I might have the first question for you all.
Actually, go for it. Go for it.
Man, how did you all man, this was a dope experience. We came out with Dope Black Boy to Rich Black Man, and my guy Christopher Freeman, that's who it's about. Amazing story. I know we're going to get into his, but I just want to share that there was an interview we were going to do, and we needed to send some links. And I went on Google and YouTube to grab some interviews I knew that we did, and then I ran across Fully Booked. And it said Dope Black Boy to Rich Black Man. I said, okay, what is this? And then I clicked on it, and y'all did a full season podcast, over 10 episodes, I think, or close to that, on the book. Each of them were like, 40 minutes thorough. I'm telling y'all breaking down some of the greatest gems within there. You all gave so many insights to your personal lives and just culture, from how you all saw it. And it was, when I shared it with Chris, I was like, bro, you got to see these, brothers, man, from London. They got the Idris Elba, vibe, man, and energy, man, it was just a great surprise. And it just meant a lot to us because we wanted to touch some lives and get that message spread. And you all did that for sure with that season. So appreciate y'all to the fullest.
No doubt, man.
And I wanted to know, how did you all come across the book? That's the question.
Good question.
I was introduced to the book from my business partner, someone that I consider my brother. And it was at a time when he was going to sit down in jail. So he was like, oh, bro, you got to read this book. It's really inspirational. And actually the version of the book I bought, I actually gave it to him so he can give it to other people while he was sitting down inside. So that's how I first came about it. And when I read it myself, I was like, I've got to bring it to the rest of the boys and showcase it, because I thought it was really impactful. I thought it had a great message. And and the fact that, again, I feel like a dope black boy becoming a man in this world, it was only right that we we spoke about it, man. Like I thought it was a real gem of a book to actually bring to the world. So now, just on yourselves, I think congratulations on even writing such a book, because we need that kind of literature in the world for our younger males to follow through and have something to hold on to.
Yeah, definitely. It's inspiring. As French said, he mentioned the book to us. I think I must have like read the synopsis. I said, yeah, we're definitely going to do it. And believe it or not, man, even though we're on 2 different continents, the stories from America are not too dissimilar to those over in the UK. And it's an inspiring book. And the thing I will say is, on this podcast, we give honest breakdown and opinions. If we're not rating a book, if we're not rating something we've read, we'll say we didn't finish this book. We'll say, do you know what? It's not for us. And actually, we wouldn't even recommend it. All of us gave props to that book, and we write up our book reviews independently of each other. The first time we even bring them to light is when we actually record, and you will have seen that across the board we scored it highly, recommended it highly, said it was a great book to introduce to those going through it, those coming up, our younger selves. We love that book.
And you know, something I was thinking about today was the book is evergreen based on that type of story. Do you know what I mean? Because I think, as you mentioned before, those type of stories are going on like across the country, and probably even more so now in some respect. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, kudos to you in regards to actually writing a book of that sort of caliber. And actually listening back to the book review today, I mean, I think, as you said, Mace, I love a quote. I don't know if you listened back to it today. I just constantly reeled off quotes and quotes and quotes and quotes. So I sat there and laughed to myself in regards to that. But also, I guess the positive with that is, I think if you can constantly highlight things as to their importance or how poignant they are, I think it's a testament as to how good the book is.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Much respect. And Christopher Freeman, he gives you all much respect. That is, you know, the story that was captured. And yeah, I met him you know, doing marketing work in Florida. And, you know, I was doing, you know, commercials with other businesses. Some included beauty supply owners that targeted, you know, our community, but a lot of times the owners weren't from our community. And there was a friend of mine, you know, she went to college with me at Florida A&M University, and she told me, she was like, there's a brother out here, he's selling hair out the trunk and it's fire. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep my eye out for the, you know, the brother. And I began to hear more and more. It was these mythical stories. Women was like, they were wearing the hair in the shower, in the jacuzzi with their significant other, and their hair didn't get messed up, you know, which is everything for, you know, women with texture. So it was, yeah, it was just a storm. And I ended up meeting him, and we had a conversation. It was actually in representation of another client, and it was like 1 or 2 minutes of, you know, some tension, but it turned into one of the most powerful convos I've ever had. And it lasted about 45 minutes or an hour. And after we kind of handled a certain situation, we talked. I got more of his story, and I was like, you know what? I told myself, when I find the right opportunity, I'm gonna connect with him so that I can help, you know, champion his dreams.
Yeah.
And he was already doing phenomenal. And when I found, I think, the perfect marketing setup for just a great discount, he could get the same radio volume spots that a lot of big time lawyers and car, you know, dealerships got. I shared it with him. I laid out, you know, a solid marketing plan. He was with it. I knew I laid it out for like what a year could look like. He was like, I'm on it, say less. And the rest is history. He built a multi-million-dollar, you know, hair company. And in doing so, he built it, you know, to 14 stores, you know, across, you know, the United States. And he's since pivoted to real estate, and he has a construction company, but he's a serial entrepreneur. He's one of the most genius businessmen I've ever met. And his story, you know, to what you were sharing, French, about your business partner, he was a major dope boy, and he got locked up. He got, you know, he was making probably $50,000 a month profit, you know, before he was even 20 years old. But, you know, ended up getting, you know, locked up. And when he came out, he did what I knew every young black brother that gets caught up in the streets could do. You know, coming from Chicago, South Side, I saw that so often. And I would just see, coming back home from college, asking about friends, and too often they were either shot, and killed, or they were doing time. In many cases, and I felt like, man, they're geniuses, they're brilliant, they're talented. I'm learning business in college, they learn a business through an entrepreneurial, realm in the streets. And I
Hmm.
just felt like, man, if they were given the right opportunity, or if they could kind of pivot the right way, they would be unstoppable. And Chris was the ultimate, epitome of someone who did, just a lot in terms of high value in the streets, but was able to reprogram his mind and, transform that into a legitimate, successful entrepreneurial endeavor.
Hmm.
And when you see any of these people on Forbes, the cover of Forbes, and you hear these great stories of, all these other brands that we support, he is just as genius as them.
Okay.
And he had way less resources. So, we had that in our culture, and it was cool to capture his story and also just provide more gems for young people that, yeah, deserve direction out of our community.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the kind of stories that we need to highlight more. Um, yeah, so that's again, just to reiterate, reason why we chose to go with that book is to shine some light on such stories, because it's those kind of stories that don't really get put on blast or even highlighted and showcased. So we're just trying to do our part essentially.
Mm.
But on
Mhm.
another note, I know Chris isn't here. We're talking to you, and we're talking to you about the Savage Matrix. So just before we get into the actual book, could you tell us a little bit about your story and where
Yeah.
you came from and what your upbringing was like and how you got to the point of writing the Savage Matrix in itself?
True. So this is the third book. I did two with Chris. First was Dope Black Boy, the Rich Black Man. The second was Run It, How to Secure the $1 Million Bag in Business. And then this last is The Savage Matrix, which is a solo project. And I can remember, man, guys, probably one of my first experiences playing outside when I was like 5 years old, and I was able to go across the street and I would see these guys that I looked up to. They were older. They were playing this football game, and it's called Killer Man. Have y'all ever played this football game called Killer Man in
No,
London?
please explain it to us. It might be a same game but with a different name, so it could be a reiteration. But by all means, explain it to us and the audience.
Okay, no doubt. So it's a football game where FOOT. I know soccer's big over there too, but it's a football game, and it's every man for themselves. So
Okay.
the ball gets thrown up, and whoever catches it, everybody tries to tackle them, and you got to try to score a touchdown, without somebody tackling you.
Yeah.
So that's the game. And I wanted to play it so bad. I was, I'm like 5 or 6 years old. I'm like, man, when I get out there, I'm gonna do, my thing. And so I got out there, and I caught the ball. They threw it up, and rest in peace. There's a guy a little older than me. His name was Henry. I called him Hen Dog, and he, man, knocked the mess out of me, knocked the wind out of me. So I'm down, and I'm like, I never felt this feeling. I'm like, man, I guess this is what not making it is gonna be like. And
Mhm.
probably the most athletic dude, man, look up to him. His name is Mark Nathaniel. Shout out to him. But he came to my face, and he was like, "Brave little N word." Brave. And I got my breath, and man, I made it through that day, but ended up becoming, probably one of the best on the block. And at some point, I was able to deliver some hits and look
Yeah.
at somebody's faces and be like, "Breathe, but yeah, but all to say that that's kind of the energy, and then you could even, align that with the savage energy. But
Yeah.
that's what we did to have fun. That's what we did to just express ourselves.
Mm.
And as I grew, and as my parents, were able to kind of put me in, schools outside, to get, better education. And what I began to notice, and this is crazy, I'm just gonna fast forward just to tie it in. I ran across, I had a neighbor of mine, and he was he actually was assistant football coach in the NFL. And we was talking about football, and I was like, man, did y'all ever play Killer Man? And he was like, no, I don't really know. When I explained it to him, he was like, "Oh man, where I'm from, man, they used to call it killer N word."
Oh wow.
I was
Shit.
like, "Wow."
Damn.
So I'm gonna leave that story at that.
Mm.
But because he was from an area where it's predominantly white.
Yeah.
But I share that to say it's just an extreme analogy of the extreme pressure that young black males particularly have, period. And this kind of ties into that first book, but there was an evolution
Yeah.
to just a savage energy, period. But I just share that to say that there's a certain pressure, pressure to be great, but also pressure to survive, a pressure to be
Facts.
alive. It's a physical pressure as much as a financial, as much as it's a mental wellness game and everything else. And you can feel it in the streets, you can feel it in, in the hood and neighborhood, but you also even more drastically can feel it in the world. And like you said, you can go on multiple continents. If you are a black person, and particularly a black man, black male, like you'll find that there's pressure. And a lot of times it can have tragic, circumstances to that. So I've always been fascinated with the energy of greatness. Came out of a city where Michael Jordan, was everything and won his championships during, my childhood. And but there is just as much of a gangster energy that's used as much as a positive greatness. And there's always a challenge, particularly in our culture, as to find the light within that type of darkness and within that type of pressure. And it takes nothing less than a savage. One other thing that I share just in context to just me, because I believe that I'll share this as context to how I even view myself in this type of dynamic.
Sure.
But I, Mace, and Andrew, and man, and French, like at one point when I was coming back home from college, and I would be asking, "Oh man, what's up with Sonic?" And they'd be like, "Man, you ain't heard? Man, he out of here. Something happened, boom, something street related." I'm like, "Man," and I asked about others. They'd be like, "Man, he's locked up." I had a very close friend that got locked up around 20 years old and had to do 80 years. They gave him a sentence so that if he got out, it would be on his birthday when he's 100 years old.
Jeez.
And those types of things, I would hear that and it would just be like, man, that's not, man, something's off. And they are not that. That's the wrong story. That's not my homeboy that I grew up with, putting whoopee cushions under the teacher. Yeah, we like, what went wrong? What is this situation? And so I did my own personal poll, and it was just for me, how many within, my 4-block radius where I grew up, there's probably like 50 young, black dudes. I was like, how many of them graduated college, grew up with a father in the home, didn't go to jail, and didn't die of a violent death at a younger age, before 25. And out of 50, man, French, Mace, Andrew, how many do y'all think checked all 4 of those boxes?
Just say 60%.
That's a good guess. That's probably what it should be.
Yeah.
Even higher, to be honest.
Yeah.
Man, try 2%. Only
Whoa.
one.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Only one. And that one is me.
Wow. Wow.
So exactly. But that didn't mean I recognized then that I wasn't more talented. I wasn't, smarter. I wasn't, that I was just lucky. Because if someone says you got a 1 out of 50 chance of jumping in, the water and not getting ate by a shark, like that's some luck,
sure.
Even Michael Phelps, would not necessarily,
Make it out.
beat those odds.
Yeah.
So all to say, that's when you ask like my story, it's always been looking at, wow, like all the different challenges and traumas that have happened around me, despite there being black genius.
Yeah.
Like these brothers, incredible, insane creativity, incredible artists, incredible entertainers, incredible potential doctors, lawyers.
Yeah.
And this is Black History Month in America and beyond. And when we celebrate those like a Malcolm X, like, and my guy who runs one of the best black-owned, it's an education program for youth. They teach them how to body these standardized tests to get scholarships, full ride scholarships, the way that someone would put their, child into sports to, do a lot of training to get a D1 scholarship in sports. So he has this statement of saving our Black messiahs
Okay.
and not letting them go into the grave
Yeah.
or into prison.
Yeah.
And so they're geniuses, and a lot of this talent just has to be unlocked, in a particular right way.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's always been on my heart in different ways. So that led to surely the first book and connecting with Chris.
Yeah.
Then there was another book, that was kind of the why, and that was given for, so many. There have been mothers and grandmothers that were asking me to give them that book because they were like, we're giving this as part of their care package because my son was shot up and we got to get him out of, in some cases, the country.
Yeah.
Or surely out of that city or state. And so that was a why, and it brought more value to that book, as you all shared as well. But also, there needed to be a how. So that second book, Run It, How to Secure the $1 Million Bag, was like, okay, if you see the light and understand that in the streets, it's 100% chance, it's a 0% success rate. You do have to serve time or, or worse. So in that case, here's how you do business, and here's everything you need to know to launch a successful business. But then afterwards, I've just been fascinated with the energy of greatness. And I think we embody that in humanity, period. And surely in our culture and genius and everything that goes through it, but you actually have to go through it to manifest that type of success. So that brought about, this book, The Savage Matrix.
Okay. Cool. Just sorry, Pox. Quick one. Couple of things that you've said that I just want to touch back on because it feels like we're moving towards going into the book. And before we do that, I just want to know, because you spoke about you're the 1 out of 50 who made it through and it's sheer luck. But I just want to know, was there something in the household, your household, encouragement, forms of encouragement? What did you have? Because it's not all down to luck. And others believe we make our own luck. We put ourselves in a position to be able to be beneficiaries of that luck. So I want to know a little bit about your household DNA. Was there encouragement? Was there love at home? Was there purpose for you? And then secondly, I want to know how the transition went, because you said you grew up in Chicago, you're now based in Florida. How did that move come about? What took you on that journey? Have you moved about and you've found home in Florida? Was it straight from Chicago to Florida? I just want to know a little bit about that transition as well.
Yeah, for sure. And big ups to everyone watching who may not have grown up with a dad in the home, or may not have graduated from college, or may have done some time, or knowing people that they love and they may not have, made it past 25 for violent reasons. That does not, those factors do not prevent success. We have breakthrough stories all the time, so that is not shared to say that greatness cannot happen and does not happen. But 1 out of 50, I look at this world and this society, and I say, how could that be the case? I don't think that's the case. When you go to the nicest, areas in London, throughout Great Britain, or in America, from Chicago to, Miami, and beyond. So what is it about this particular demographic there? So that just touched me, and just sharing that, just to, align with those, that may feel like they're in a space there. But I did have both of my parents that were phenomenal.
Okay.
My mom was an educator. My dad worked in government.
Okay.
And it was beautiful because I had their support and resources, but we grew up, on the block,
Okay.
and I was able to, just have friendships and build in ways, but also see other challenges and know that I was, blessed in a way, whatever resources, where my dad made a basketball court in my backyard. So he could kind of govern, me not having to go to the park at a super young age and, deal with certain things, before I may have been ready. So, and I got good. So I was getting my crossover on and doing all the other stuff and doing well in basketball, up through grade school and high school, and putting me in other sports as well. Those are just things that a lot of other kids had to just play out in the alley, play on the crate. Not be an organized sport. And in today's world, you almost have to be a part of, some sort of training. I don't even think the kids are playing outside like that. But
Yeah.
I had an advantage there. They, put me in schools that would challenge me, and introduce me to, the coaches as well. So, I was, in diverse classrooms, at an early age, and went to one of the best high schools, the same one that Michelle Obama went to in Chicago. It's called Whitney Young. And from there, went to Florida A&M University in Florida. And they, had a strong presence in Chicago and did a lot of recruiting there. And I had an older cousin that went there. So I wanted to go to a historically Black university and had an amazing experience.
Okay.
And there was a great business school that was able to provide us, not only a great curriculum, but, weekly encounters with Fortune 500 executives and even high paid internships.
Okay.
So being able to have those experiences before graduating college, to know exactly what business looks like at a high level, to be able to translate it into entrepreneurship, if that's the decision. But being able to have that type of experience, so you know your worth and your value, and you can compete against someone who went to Harvard, and then others, that are, middle-aged people, but you're doing the same work and competing, getting the same type of check. So that was a great experience. And yeah, stayed in Jacksonville. I started off in some hip hop music. We were just talking about J. Cole latest album and all of that. So I had my run, in terms of making music and enjoying that. But I was able to pivot and use the marketing skill set that I had to do a lot of hip hop commercials. And they were like, these rap, jingles that was kind of flying catchy. And that just led to kind of building on more business services in the realm of marketing and advertising. And it led to a brand strategy PR firm, that I run to this day.
Yeah.
So, and it's 1%, ironically, it's called 1% Brand Agency.
Yeah.
And it's about kind of championing, instead of an 80-20, 20% of what you do equates to 80% of the results. I think it's one. And that's it. The Savage Matrix breaks down, getting into that one thing that means everything.
Okay, brilliant. You mentioned the why, the how, and I think it's great that we're now getting to the greatness. So what is the Savage Matrix, and what does it relate, or how does it relate to the awakening of the greatest gangster self?
True. I'll ask you all first, man. You're definitely, I'm gonna answer that. Who is at the top of you all's Mount Rushmore of being a savage? Which, let's say, we define savage as an undeniable force of greatness and gangster. So whether y'all go, if it's a political representative, if it's an entertainer, if it's an athlete, wherever y'all go with it, who would you all say is your number one savage?
Can we mix them? It doesn't have to be from one industry, right? Because straight away there's a couple of people pointing to Curtis Jackson's one of them. 50 Cent, straight away. I just think he really, the way, from what we see over here, he really follows those principles that, the laws of power, 40 laws of power, there's 50 floor, yeah. The art of war, I can't remember the exact quote, but like, with your enemies down, you stamp them out kind of thing. He's up there for me. There's a couple of others. I'll let the boys go because there are a couple of others, and I want the boys to go.
I agree with Mace with 50. I think for me also is Nelson Mandela. I think he's a savage in his own right. I think mentally, just what he went through and what he stood for. He's a beast. He's definitely a beast. So that's one. So we've got two so far.
Wow. Mine's not going to be anywhere near yours. I'm probably thinking more fortitude, and I'm thinking more sportish in some respect. I'm just going to go Cristiano Ronaldo in regards to his resilience and ability to kind of drive through certain challenges and things of that nature. So that is my one.
Okay.
Should
I take the last lot again?
Sure.
Unpopular and debatable opinion, Donald Trump.
Okay.
Savage. And you don't have to like the guy, but you have to know that guy's a savage and he'll get what he needs to get to, where he needs to go. He's getting there. He's doing it his way. It's no holds bars with him.
Do you know, actually, I don't know if it's a key theme. I think, is there 3 political figures in the 4 that we've mentioned?
No, 2.
2. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, Bournemouth at least 50%. Would you say that's I
think those just sprung to mind. I think there could have been. There's a bunch.
There's a bunch.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, I was thinking of that beforehand.
Too deep.
No, because I was thinking.
think so. Anyway.
Okay, I mean, I was thinking of that prior to that. Was like, do we need to think of political figures? But I mean, okay, cool.
It was a good question. Why did you ask that question of us? And do you have your own that you would put up there?
Yeah, so I asked to kick off because that's that energy. You all spoke with some passion, and gave, just examples of what that energy is of greatness and gangster, and it's polarizing. I know I'm having some people that, man, one of them names is some fighting words, where I'm at, and for some serious reason. But I think the enlightened perspective is recognizing, I'm gonna call fire. Fire can heat up a home or it can burn up a home. There are people who do horrible things with fire, people that do incredible things, but understanding the energy of fire, and fire is different. Fire is not a solid. It's not a liquid. It's got gaseous properties, but it's not quite a gas. It's something different. And it's one of the elements that I align most with, that savage energy. So yeah, I love to get the perspective of, you all are incredible brothers. I think y'all got one of the dopest podcasts in, we call it the metaverse, the digital verse, the streaming world. And so that genius that you all bring to the table, and just that, and it takes a lot to be as consistent as you are. Like, I came out with Dope Black Boy, the Rich Black Man with Chris over 10 years ago. It's about 10 years, to be exact.
Yeah.
And y'all been doing it for that long. So, salute to you all, but that's some savage energy. And I just wanted to know what type of, not only inspiration, but what type of savage perspective do you all have with regards to greatness and some gangster energy behind it. So, and for me, Michael Jordan, when it comes to greatness, I have him there, and it's just, he's like the epitome of greatness when talking about greatness. And it's like, are you the Michael Jordan of this industry or that industry? I remember Barack Obama said that when he gave him an award. I thought that was so appropriate. But to align with some of the, when you mentioned Nelson Mandela, and I think that those that are on that level, and they actually relate to different archetypes. So it's good that we got those names, because we'll be able to tap into which savage archetype do we think they are, which is always a good discussion. But Martin and Malcolm, to me, are my 1A, 1AA.
Yeah.
They're, to me, the greatest human beings that I think have lived. I think they represent a Black Messiah, which I think is greater as a the concept, that uplifts even the actual person. I think it's embodied through different special angelic, just divine entities. And I think Martin and Malcolm are right there. And I think the beautiful thing about greatness, even though they early on in their careers were kind of paired off against each other, like, this is, by any means necessary, and this is the, we shall overcome and be, peaceful and nonviolent. But there's a great book. It's called The Sword and the Shield. And I reference it in the Savage Matrix. And speaking about their greatness as divine savages, but the book describes them as two different sides of the same coin, the same revolutionary coin. And where Malcolm was on the offense with the sword and that aggressiveness for, to acquire dignity that was being denied, too many. Martin was the sword to say, hey, we're going to try to preserve life. Not the sword, he's the shield. We're going to preserve life and try to protect, as we move and ascend and, get equal rights as well. So I think we could have a conversation for days and beyond about just the greats within our culture, like the Nelson Mandelas, and what that looks like in different spaces. And I think 50 Cent surely, embodies a lot of that energy. A lot of the books that he's done has tapped into some things that are referenced in the Savage Matrix as well. So.
Well, on that note, do you want to go through what will be the archetypes, the different archetypes?
Yeah, for sure. So the Savage Matrix is the limitless realm to your most dominant state of being. And this journey, and everyone watching this is on this journey. And they can choose right now for this to be the quantum leaping, moonshot catapult to the grandest version of their greatest vision with no limits. And the question that starts off the Savage Matrix journey, I think the question that was answered clearly every day, almost in every moment of greats that we, align with being a savage is, and I'm gonna ask you all this question because this is what kicks off the Savage Matrix, and everyone listening can answer this. I don't think anything is more important in life than answering this question. It would be worth taking a week off of work, school, and just being in isolation to tap into the deepest element within yourself to answer this one question. If you had all the power in the world, what's the one thing you would do?
Because I don't want there to be too much airtime, it's a question that I couldn't truly give on the spot. Like you said, it's one of those questions that you need to have deep isolation with. So without, not to slide over it, but I couldn't give my authentic answer just off the whim. But it definitely.
Let me ask this, because you are correct, and it's a question to ask oneself almost daily, forever.
Sure.
But I'll ask, if on your heart, if you got $10 million, if you gave an answer in the next 10 seconds, what would it be? What's on your heart? And there's a quote I'm gonna share after you share that speaks to that. But I'm gonna share this: the dream that will make you most proud is the one you're afraid to say out loud.
Wow.
I think for me, if it was a quick fire answer, it would be to help others.
Yeah.
That's what's on my heart, is to help others.
For me, going back to your first question, the thing that struck a chord with me straight away, to just make it an equal, even playing field for everyone worldwide. That's the first thing that came to my head. Like, just make it equal or even, an even playing field. That's the first thing that came to mind. I don't know if you want to deep dive into or dive deeper into what I'm saying. It looks like things like no more famine in certain elements of the world, whereas over in the Western society, we think we don't have, but we do. It's things like that. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's all about just that equal, even playing field for everyone. If I had all the power.
And mine, I was pretty much going to say something very similar, actually, as to equality. I guess on my daily travels and stuff like that, I think you come across people who are homeless and stuff like that, and you always wish you can, in fact you do, but like you always wish you can do maybe a little bit more in regards to helping and supporting. And I guess there's only a limit to how you can actually help people. So I guess that would be something I devote a lot of time to. It's weird though, actually, because I wouldn't even say that's probably the greatest thing or the thing that I want to achieve most, but I think it will be one of the first things I kind of like. Yeah, I think it'll be one of the first things I go out and do. Probably very similar to what you said, like make it an equal playing field. Unfortunately, I think at this moment in time, I think that's something that a lot of people are probably crying for, as to an equal playing field. And that's what I'll do. But it's funny, actually, that question, actually, because we were having a conversation recently as to AI, and I was saying, I think the question was like, oh no, what was the question? Essentially, like, AI can give you the power to do absolutely any and anything. Like, what would you do, like, if you had AI at your disposal? Yeah, thank you. I kind of lost my train of thought in regards to the word. Yeah, basically, what would you do? And I think more often than not, a lot of people wouldn't know what to do or what's the first thing they would actually do. So I think that question is quite powerful in regards to what would you do if you had all the resources in the world?
Yeah, for sure. And dynamic answers. And I have found that's my favorite question in all of the world, because it unlocks what your actual divine purpose is. And you all shared it very clearly, with passion and with a certain conviction. So French has said helping others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But also said he'd have to take it away and give it a deep think. It's because you put him on the spot.
Yeah, but you know what? like what you all shared, even in alignment, because a lot of the Savage Matrix deals with this oneness. The number one GOAT code is there's only one power and presence in the universe. So
Okay.
there's this oneness around this energy, and it's just
Okay.
aligning with it.
Mm.
What you shared, French, around helping others, Mason, Andrew, what you all shared around equality,
Yeah.
and that is exactly what the Nelson Mandelas, Martin Malcolms have done. That's what you all are doing as we speak with this platform.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Surely helping others. And so what I found is that our greatest gift is something we do so effortless, we don't even really give ourselves credit for it. That's how divinely and innately wired we are around it.
Mm.
You are surely do that, helping countless amount of people around the world. So much that someone thousands of miles away was able to reference that, wow, I wanted to help people, and they had a platform to help even more people
Yeah.
than I could have imagined in places. And this equality in alignment with this equity, that there is the Black Messiah. That is, you could take those two, equality and helping others,
Mm-hmm.
to get that is the Black Messiah mission. And so y'all three brothers are on a Mount Rushmore for you all's divine purposes, and have channeled this savage energy in a way that's what y'all do.
Mm.
There was, for us to connect the way that we are, through the tech platform that you have now, it was an engineer, and it was, collective, thought process, and hey, let's do this, get on Google Meets and, connect this way, make sure we can check, man, that's a network. And so I share that just to say that moonshot is something you all already manifest. And so much of the burden that we carry on our backs, and as a cross, is I'm not good enough. I haven't made it yet. I haven't arrived, or I'm not worthy, but we all had the same problem. We all have it, man, French, Mace, Andrew, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, like wherever you at, like we all want something. I want something, and something's in the way.
Mm.
That's the only reason we hesitate, and that's the only reason why we don't pursue it. But what you find in the Savage Matrix is the obstacle is the way, which is a great book. You all may have, I don't know if you covered it or not, but you all covered such great books. And that's another one. But it really talks about, a blazing fire makes flame and brightness from everything that's thrown at it.
Mm.
So that obstacle, that's what makes you a savage. There is to be like running in the Olympics, and then you get there and nobody's there to compete. And I'm like, no, just go to the pedestal and get your gold medal. It's like, no, you just took away what's most important. And that's the journey. So the goal is not the goal, it's who you become along that journey.
Yeah,
And
facts.
so I salute our brothers, because, man, if anybody's out here helping and building some sort of equality around the highest frequency of, there's a book called Power versus Force, and it has a spectrum from the lowest frequency to the highest. The lowest is shame. And when you go all the way up, most people would think is love, which I think is just the grandest ideal in and of itself. But the one above that for frequency purposes is enlightenment. And that's equal. That's okay. That's knowledge. And that's what this platform is all about, to create an extra sense of equality, equity, and help, at a powerful level. So yeah. Y'all embody that. And that is just a setup. It took some time, but now we can get into archetypes. And now that we know that we are greatness personified, okay, how can I do it even more effective, more efficient, more at a genius level, wired to how I'm packaged as a spiritual being that happens to be having a spiritual experience in a luxury human vehicle. These bodies, these tech platforms, clothes that we wear, car that we drive, crib that we live in, that's all the physical, but that's not us. You all had a lot of great conversations, because I checked y'all. The last book y'all covered, the status game, a lot of and some before that was about money. Because man, money is one of the central things in all of these books that I've surely written in the ones that you all talk about. But that's not who you are. That's not the energy behind why one becomes super wealthy the right way and does the right things with it. So when we're gifted in that way and we had this divine journey, then this savage matrix and these archetypes, which will make people's eyebrows go up because the archetypes are a hustler,
Yeah.
pimp, stripper, and a pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
And so I normally get, oh man, what we talking about here? What we got going on there? I don't know what the spots look like in London, but I'm sure it's a lot popping there as here in the States. But you are, if you all recall, when we were younger, there's a math principle called absolute value, and it's like these brackets, and if you put a number in it, it has to be positive. So if you put negative 100 in these brackets, it's 100. Yeah. Meaning that the magnitude of, if it's a negative 100 degrees or 100 degrees, it's the same magnitude of energy. It's just on a different spectrum. Mm-hmm. And we could look at the same with love and hate or fear, with, hot or cold, with day or night. It's the same thing. It's just a turn or twist of the same magnitude and energy. So with that, I use that to say that there's positive value connotation. I'm not talking about, the dope boy as a hustler. I'm not talking about, the pimp that's out there, trying to make moves. I'm not talking about, a exotic dancer or, a vicious dog per se, but that energy, that absolute positive value energy. And so for each of these archetypes, and there's a test that I have on the savagematrix.com, and it's also in the book, but a hustler, their ultimate goal is money. And their superpower is deal making. A hustler, because every time there's a conversation, within the first minute, they talk about how to monetize it. They talk about how to, convert. They talk about, 5 other businesses they could build on top of it. That Chris that I did the books with before, like, he's a serial entrepreneur, hustler all day, every day, nonstop. Then there is the pimp. The pimp is, their ultimate goal is power and control. But that's our leaders. That's what leadership requires. So the resource that they require is human talent. And they understand leverage of a system, which is save yourself, time, energy, and money. And so but their superpower is they know how to sell fantasies, really visions. And that's, to have a dream and, to be able to lead a nation and beyond, or create a whole new nation. The revolutionary spirit oftentimes takes that type of vision and leadership. Then you have a stripper. The stripper, the ultimate goal there is status and superstardom. And you can see that immediately. You're probably already thinking about certain celebrities. It's like they just want to get the most attention. They got to be in the public eye. They always doing a publicity stunt here or there because they just got to be seen. Because I believe that entertainment is the most superior form of influence. Yeah. That's why sports and music will always be, super high. And so their ultimate superpower is ability to captivate audiences, and just keeping that I'm number one and I'm going to get that number one status to be on that number one pedestal. And then last, and this is where the majority of people fall into, a little bit by default, but also by I think how we're wired as people. Yeah. And it's a very strong archetype too, but it's the Pitbull. And the Pitbull is like, yeah, you need money, yeah, you need power, yeah, you need, influence, but results is like what I'm here for. So that's kind of a Navy SEAL mindset. Like, show me the target, and I can get from point A to point B and neutralize it. And that ultimate superpower for the Pitbull is focus. So super important, to be laser focused. Because once they lock in, just like a Pitbull locking in, there's no letting up. So those are archetypes. Let me know if you all took the test. If not, there's a question to ask that can kind of get, good general synopsis of what you probably are.
Yeah. Go for it.
Before we go into that, because we did take the test, right? Yeah, we've all taken the test independently.
Okay.
Before we get into that, into what our archetypes were, our individual archetypes were, I just wanted to know, how were these 4 archetypes determined, and why is it only 4? And that you're saying, you'll fit into one of these criteria.
Yeah, no, great question. And I've just had a fascination with people, even with sharing, just some of my story coming up, it was around, the guys, superheroes that I felt like I grew up with, guys on my block that, were incredible, smart, fast, strong, you know, hustler mindsets, a lot of them. And but I've noticed that uh, money, power, status and superstardom falls in that as well as fame. And then results, I felt like that covered normally what we're normally trying to get one of those four.
Mm.
And anything else that's not that normally falls within one of those.
Okay.
But it's an interesting strategy as to how you get what you ultimately want using one or all. And the Savage Matrix shows that the most successful people, from the perspective that we normally evaluate, uh, often are kingpins. They've mastered each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they may have a dominant archetype, they surely elevate through that. So I there's not a conversation I can have. There's not a person that I can meet that I don't immediately see one of those four.
Yeah. Okay.
And the energy that kind of goes behind it, or something that's laying dormant, where it's like, wow, this person is really a superstar, but they shy, they backing away from it, they not taking advantage of it, but they're like the energy just gravitates to them when they walk in the room. Saying for the person is just focused. It's like, wow, they are locked in. They are always on a mission, and nothing can stop them when they're locked in. Or that person that's like, they're gonna make money. I don't care if it's a recession, I don't care if it's COVID, I don't care. They gonna get to the bag. Like that's what they do. Like, and then the pimp is, they are leaders. People follow them. Even if they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, like they're gonna have a crew. They're going to have people that would rather help them accomplish their vision than even try to manifest theirs. So I just see, and I think I love frameworks, those personality tests and all those things. I think self-discovery is everything. Knowledge itself, whatever tools we have for that, that's they're all valuable. So
For sure.
So go on, French.
I done test or the quiz, however you want to put it, and my archetype was the Pitbull.
okay.
Mine was a Pitbull as well. Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it? Also, Pitbull up in this room. Oh,
All right, that's what's up. Where Pitbull is that, man?
yeah.
That's what's up. Does that make sense for you all when you one individually being a Pitbull based on that synopsis, and
For
then
me,
just collectively, do you all feel like, yeah, we are Team Pitbull? That's how we move, and that's how we do what we do.
I think there's some aspects of the other archetypes that I could fit into as well. Maybe my dominant archetype probably would be Pitbull, but I could definitely have almost cross breeds or cross germinates with hustler and pimp at times. But I could recognize those traits in friends of mine that are close to, that I can say, okay, that person's a pimp archetype and that person's a hustler archetype. And yes, I would definitely agree that my overall disposition would be, the Pitbull. And as a group, I'll definitely say as a group, it's more Pitbull focused rather than the others. But I definitely think we definitely have others that we cover, but maybe not as strong as the one that we've come with at the moment.
Yeah,
How
I
about
mean,
yourself?
just to go off the back of the response French gave, I almost felt like Pitbull. I was a Pitbull by default because I didn't actually fully embrace when the questions were being asked. I didn't embrace those answers as much. Sorry, I didn't embrace those answers. It's almost like by default, this is the one that matched to me. That's what I found with a lot of the questions, if I'm honest, Marcellus. So then because even then when I was reading the, is it synopsis you'd call it, of the Pitbull,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, this person sounds like, as you said, like this Navy SEAL locked in on target. I'm like, boy, do I possess all of that? Is it just an untapped, you know, something untapped to me? And it probably is. It's probably times where actually I'm really working at optimum level, and when I'm doing that, I'm in the zone. But I'm probably not in that zone to.
Probably levels to it as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's probably levels to it. But I think as taking the test as a one-off, it felt like it was more by default than this is me. I'm a Pitbull. Let's go get this.
Yeah, because it's funny that, because actually at the time when you said Pitbull, I was like, is Mason Pitbull? I'm not too sure. No, honestly, I thought it's Mason Pitbull. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
For all of us to be in the Pitbull thing, as you said, there's kind of like levels to it. Do you know what? I love I don't know if like the word is comparison or synonyms as to Pitbull. Anyway, I love them, all right? Gangster, savage, all that type of stuff. I feel it kind of like it brings a characterization to the book and allows you to be a bit more intrigued as such. And me personally, I'm quite intrigued, or recently I've been quite intrigued with people as to just maybe observations and stuff like that. And I know you mentioned stats and things of that nature. Is there any reason why you've kind of like fallen on what will be these 4 specific like characterizations of people?
Yeah, it's some edginess to it that I think always makes for good talking points. But I found it to be and I do, as a marketer, I'm often, coming up with names of brands or different archetypes and different, hero villain stories for, brand storytelling. And so I found that just like in hip hop, one of the powerful things with hip hop is metaphors, it's similes, because there's something about our brain. If you can compare something in one category to another, it makes us, it's a breakthrough type of connection that we're able to say, okay, wow, this person, is ferocious like a lion. It's something just makes it, it gives us a creative processing that works out. But each of those, I think, play a role in our culture. And so the hustler, that's what we talk about. Every other rapper, since we started listening to rappers talking about hustle and getting that paper. And even the podcast, I watch you all's episodes, and they're super dope, great conversations. And a lot of times it's around this. That's why I think it's great that you all have shared your perspectives, and even Mace, what you shared. Like, man, it's kind of by default here. Because a lot of the conversations I've noticed have been like, man, money or status, I don't really need. I'll be invisible. That's a pit bull. Because it's like I don't rock like that, but damn, I got these bills. So man, that's
Facts.
and damn, my lady want me to go on this vacay. So I gotta, man, cut a check here and there. But like, I think that's the pit bull sometimes is in the most challenging space, even though they can be the most powerful, because it's like, I just want to do me. And it's like, and what's that? And what do you need to properly do you? And I think the cool part is, a lot of times when you have a team, like if you all are all pit bulls, it's like, that's why there's a podcast that comes out. It come out on time, it's gonna be thorough. The research is gonna be done. Nobody's gonna be skipping, not reading the book, not knowing what's happening. It's gonna be just so y'all know how to do the work there. And then, an additional thought, and you all are in a great, facility right now. So that was kind of leadership around we can't just do all of the things, around the podcast. We need to have some engineering behind it. So you had that. That's tapping into that pimp leadership. And being able to use other talent to get things done. And then, oftentimes we're in these situations like, man, we have such fire content and everything there. All right, where's the bag at? Where's the sponsors? I'm sure there's a conversation, when you all have that there, and deservingly so, because you all are as talented as another. You all remind me of a podcast duo they call Earn Your Leisure.
We know
And
that.
you all, they do financial literacy, and I saw them from starting off, just with a couple of views, and they went to like, they got an annual conference that they do, and all types of stuff. They had Magic Johnson, Steve Harvey, so many others. So yeah, the I think there's power in um kind of assessing what we most are like, but also what is needed for our moonshot and
Mm.
what's next. And like Andrew was saying, there's levels to that one, but it's also, okay, if I want true equality for my people, equality how? What's supposed to be equal? And a lot of time that's resources, and we got a society that be playing games with that money and the power to control access to it.
Mm.
So it's like, dang, that's a part of the game. When you study the journeys of like a Nelson Mandela, like they began to move and even somewhat of that game and those different kind of spaces, the archetypes represent.